Hello everybody, I'm Tony Bulmer from Bulmer Group, and I'd love to welcome you to your Presenting to Win video program. And I'd like to congratulate you for investing the time in what is arguably the most important skill in your career. To support that, I want to share 3 insights with you. The first one is from Warren Buffett. Many of you will know Warren Buffett. He's been an extraordinary analyst of businesses, medium, large-sized businesses for many years. And he sees inside businesses because of that role. And he said for many years that perhaps the one single skill that can significantly increase your own personal value is that of communication skills. The second insight is from the Carnegie Institute in the US. They suggest that 85% of success in careers is from leadership, communication and personality over and above technical expertise. My own insight that I want to share is the brief that I've been given for years and years from organisations where they'll often say to me, Tony, we want you to coach this person, we really value this person, we think they're extraordinary, they're a great cultural fit and they're technically great at what they do, but they can't go any further in the organisation unless they can improve their communication skills. So this is the big skill that really changes the game for your trajectory in your career. So in pursuing success as a presenter, I've always suggested for years that you've got to be you. You've got to be natural, which sounds pretty straightforward. But I see a lot of people, I meet a lot of very interesting people, very capable communicators who, when they're not consciously presenting, they're actually very engaging, they're very effective, they're very natural, they're very comfortable. But when they go into a more conscious presentation mode, they actually change. And more specifically, they shrink and we get less of them. So what you're going to experience in this process with Bulmer is that we don't try and change people, we try and unlock people so that you're able to bring who you are to the table and consistently. And what I mean by that is some people say to me, Tony, I'm pretty good at being me, 3rd or 4th time you meet me. And of course what that suggests is that maybe there's an opportunity lost up front. That's also a risk. In the program, there are 6 modules, and I'll explain those modules in a moment. But I want to make 3 suggestions first. Firstly is to suggest to you to watch them in order, 1 to 6. You might have a break between the modules, but watch them in order because there's logic to that. The second thing is, before you actually start module 1, I want you to choose a business topic that you know well, that's meaningful to you, that you could then build a presentation regarding. I'd also like you to choose a scenario, and what I mean by that is to identify an audience. It can be internal colleagues, it can be senior management, it can be a client. Who would you be actually talking to on this topic? So that's all you've got to do. I don't want you to build any of the presentation at this stage. You'll do that throughout the program. And the final suggestion is, there's a workbook that comes with this. You may well want to print that workbook out if you can, if you've got access to a printer. You might find it useful to write the notes down in the workbook itself rather than just working on screen. That's your choice. So let me now explain the modules. And these modules have been developed over time. These are the 6 key issues that I've spent many years coaching people on at all levels, from chief exec down to graduate. So the first module is about planning your argument. And I use that word argument. I think every presentation, every conversation is about the argument of logic that you're putting across. The aim in that module is to reduce your preparation time and to explore the concept of focus, which is something I think most presenters don't have. So the second module is delivering with clarity, emphasis and naturalness. And really it's all about emphasis, which is something I think most presenters lack. Most presenters deliver in such a way that every point seems as important as all other points. So we're going to explore the concept of bold and unbold for any conversation. The third module, very big issue, engaging your audience. Content doesn't engage, you do. And so it's probably a longer module, and we'll explore what it takes to physically engage in any environment. The next module is having presence. How do you have presence in the space? Often people think presence is something you're born with or you're not. That's not true. I think we all can have presence. We have to have presence in order to engage. The fifth module is dealing with questions. Often this is the most concerning issue for people when presenting. How will they deal with questions? So we'll explore that in some detail. And the last module is why you really can't be successful without some form of rehearsal. And I'm not a purist, I know we're very time poor, but I'll explore some ideas for you about rehearsing in a very efficient and meaningful way that really does change the game for you. Before we go any further, I just want to explain what is a presentation, because that's a word that gets used and it's a word that has connotations. My short answer is to say to you everything. Every conversation, one-on-one, one-on-10, one-on-300, and of course in this day and age, presenting on screen in a virtual environment. All of those are presentations, and everything that we talk about throughout the program will be relevant. The building an argument, delivering with emphasis, absolutely relevant in a virtual context. Having presence, absolutely relevant. And I talk about owning your stage. So when you listen to the module on presence, think about, picture in your mind sitting in front of a screen and giving yourself a bit more of a stage that you can use to create presence. That will make sense when you listen to that module. All of the tips on engagement, particularly relevant in a virtual environment. So this is extremely relevant to all day-to-day communication situations. The last point I just want to share with you is actually coming back to myself and my own journey, because people often say to me, Tony, but presenting's easy for you, you make it look so easy. And that's very kind that people might suggest that. I've done a lot of it. I've always enjoyed presenting, but that's not to say that it gets easy or is easy. In fact, even doing these videos is really quite challenging and often takes a bit of rehearsal and planning. And in my personal life, the most challenging thing that can happen is being asked to speak at a friend's birthday or a family birthday. And I find that very difficult because most people in the room will know what I do for a living, and I feel as though their expectation is very high. So that's simply my way of saying I do really understand the challenge of presenting, and I have huge empathy in regard to it. I'm very excited about working with you. I'm thrilled that you've chosen to work with us, and I hope you find this extremely useful, very practical, and most of all, I hope at the end of it, it allows you to really enjoy presenting, because that's where we want to be.